Welcome to Unlocking Artificial Intelligence for Small Business Government Contractors. I'm Neil McDonnell. We're going to get started here. In this session, we're going to be talking about how small business government contractors can unlock AI or artificial intelligence within their business and outside and around their business, supporting those they interact with. I'm going to cover down on three main areas in today's session. The first thing I want to talk about is just top ways to prepare your company for AI, artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is here to stay, right? Some of us sometimes embrace change faster than others, but I really want to talk about how you can make sure your company is preparing and embracing AI, in particular your staff as well. That's what I really want to drive into. And then the second thing I'm going to cover down on is how you can use AI in your business. So I'm going to share top ways that you can think about using artificial intelligence in your business. And when I talk about in your business, that's pretty much what you do in the back office, right? And compare that to the next thing I'll cover down in this session is top ways you can use AI on your business for the growth of your business, in particular, how you interact with your customers. And so I'm going to cover down on those three things. As I talk about how artificial intelligence is here. It's as important as the computer is for day-to-day business work. It doesn't matter what business we're in, whether it's manufacturing, construction, services within the government space. Change is here and we want to embrace change. I certainly want to encourage you to embrace change. And one of the things I want you to just keep in mind, and I paraphrase this a little bit, but there's this line that says some people make things happen, some people watch things happen, and some people say what happened. And as it relates to artificial intelligence and AI in your world, I want you to make sure that you're making AI happen for your business. You're not watching it happen, and you're certainly not asking what happened as things pass you by and the success of your business starts to be damaged maybe by your lack of embrace. And so today I'm hoping to really convince you to embrace AI day to day. Very quickly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm excited to be here in this session as a guest speaker. If you don't know who I am and where I've been, I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market after I got out of the Army. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process like embracing AI into our business, we're going to have the success we're looking for. I want to encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm out there. I've got 27,000 followers. And the reason I say this is because my network is your network. If you come in and engage with me and engage with the content I put out there, you're able to meet some of these 27,000 people, right? And almost all of them are in the government contracting space. And so I love getting people to be able to find a platform like mine on LinkedIn, where you can meet others in the government contracting space, others who watch this AI training and be able to move it forward. And then also subscribe to my newsletter if you'd like to stay informed about government contracting information. One of the most important things when you think about government contractors, small businesses having success with AI is preparing your company, preparing your staff. And so I want to share some top ways to prepare that company, your company, for AI. Like I mentioned earlier, AI is here to stay, right? It will not go away. It's as important as email, right? I said earlier, it's as important as a computer, but it's as important to email for our day-to-day activity, our communication, et cetera. I remember when I was in the Army, dating myself a little bit here, but I remember when email came out. And I remember the senior officers in the Army that I was supporting, they just didn't even bother getting on email. And obviously the younger we were, the more we embraced it. But it was a big problem because those senior staff just kind of ignored email. And what they did was made it a lot harder for people to communicate. They still had to communicate in person instead of senior leadership being able to communicate through email, even for like basic things, nothing classified. And AI is kind of this same thing. It is absolutely here to stay. You can take steps right now to prepare your staff to make sure they're able to embrace that change. They're excited to make that change. And I want you to do that because when your staff does embrace the change, then they're going to be able to help your customers more. You're going to be able to support them more. Initially, I was saying do more with less, but you're not going to do more with less, but you can do more with the same. So we're not asking or offering to our customers to say, hey, we can reduce the amount of hours you pay us with the amount of money. No, we're saying pay us the same. But because we're now utilizing AI, every one of us, from the juniorest person to the seniorest person, because we're embracing AI, we're able to do more for you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, right? And so this ability to support the government is vital because the government agencies are constantly facing a battle around budgets. Sometimes the budget goes up, goes down, it shifts to the left, it shifts to the right. Literally last week, I was just talking with one of my customers. In fact, I went with one of my customers into an agency buyer that they're working with, and this person was sharing about the cost challenges they face. And one of the things that they said that was, a little bit surprising to me. I've been in this business a long time, but when I heard it, it was from a different angle, and it just hit me that let's say they have $100 million budget for this customer, this program office, and they've got a whole bunch of people, 1,000 people. Well, those 1,000 people, their cost is continuing to increase year after year with cost of living and raises, et cetera, coming up. And so that cost keeps going. But if Congress and the White House aren't increasing that program office or that agency's budget, they have cost reduction from people cutting their budget, but they also have cost reduction in this sense that their staff, their employees are eating up more and more of that money. Of course, it's a vital spend, but what our customers need us to do is to understand that, right? And so for small businesses, if we can understand that, then we can be communicating in a way that the customer might want to hear, hey, AI can help us do more with the same. So this fourth bullet I'm talking about, I really want to get your staff and you, right, especially you, but your staff trained. And so if you're watching and you're not in a leadership position, then you want to talk to your leadership and you want to make sure that your colleagues are being trained. But getting trained on AI, how do I use AI in my day-to-day job? What can AI do for me? And one thing I want to caution you on is don't try to do everything. I like this idea of weekly training where it's a 15-minute lesson on how AI could be used. So if I just use a quick example, in ChatGPT, which is my preferred AI tool at the moment, just because I don't change once I get somewhere. In ChatGPT, I can go in there and say, "Hey, write me a document," let's say, and it writes me something. But if I just say that with whatever prompting guidance I give it, it's going to come back and give me a sophisticated document. I want to teach it to say, "Write me a document," but write it at the 5th grade level. And what I'm trying to tell it just by saying right at the 5th grade level is that I want everybody to be able to understand it. So don't use jargon, don't use a lot of multi-syllable words or something. And so with your staff, you could teach them on a weekly basis little tips like how to get ChatGPT or an AI tool to do something at a 5th grade level or an 8th grade level. You certainly really don't want to be writing in America on anything above an 8th grade level because it starts to become too jargony and too sophisticated and really it discourages people from reading. When you write it at a lower level, it's easier to read. Well, those are the type of tips you want to teach your staff and your training. Don't try to teach them in 2 days everything about AI. Teach them one thing, like how to ask AI a question. One of my favorite suggestions on getting your staff trained is just give them AI and tell them to ask AI, "Hey, AI, I'm here for the first time. What should I know about you? How can I use you?" And the tool will tell you. The tool literally could teach you. You can go to YouTube. You can come to sessions like these ones, which are great, right? But you could also just use the tool to ask it to teach the staff and helping them have fun. So part of that activity, though, is consider rewarding your staff. They are going to go through this major change. There's some people like me who just jump on it. We're like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome." But not everybody's that way. Some people are going to they're very hesitant on change for whatever reason. And I'm not here to talk about those reasons, but one of the ways you can get them to move past their hesitation is to reward them. Maybe do a $25 gift certificate once a week for anybody in your company who does anything with AI, who tells you what they did. And it's kind of like an entry into a lottery, a weekly company lottery, and you get a $25 gift certificate. You award 1 or 2 $25 gift certificates. That's well worth it. When you think about $25 times 52 weeks or something, that investment on your staff and the growth, their education will cost less than sending one person out to get like an IT certification. And then I put here, try gamification. You can look up that word on Google if you don't know what it is. But gamification basically means make a game of this. Hey, let's see who's got the most points by saying if you write a blog with AI that we post, then you get 5 points or something. And the idea there is not so much rewarding, but maybe having leaderboards. And it's just ways to get your team fired up. The last bullet I put here as a suggestion as it relates to your staff is um, add the upskilling, the learning of artificial intelligence and AI in each of their jobs. Add that upskilling to their annual performance reviews. You can sit there and say, look, we need to become a company that has AI skills across the board, from the CEO down to the juniorest employee. Everybody, including like a receptionist, how could they use it in their day-to-day job? So everybody has a need to upskill in AI. Put that into the annual performance reviews. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be, have you embraced it? Have you taken a certain amount of training? It doesn't mean, have you written the best blog in the whole world? You're not trying to get to that level. You're just trying to get them to embrace it. Like I said with those general officers in the Army, I'm just trying to get them to use email. The last bullet here in red, if you're looking at my screen, is that if you don't prepare your company, if you don't prepare yourself and your staff for using AI, then you're going to start losing contracts to those that do. I talk about this with my customers. You need to make sure every one of your employees who are supporting a federal agency know how to use AI. They don't sit around going, what happened, right? They lead what happens. The customer turns to your employees and says, hey, could you help me with this AI stuff? And your employees, all of them, can begin to become trusted advisors around the use of AI in their day-to-day job. One other way that you can help your staff become familiar with AI, especially as it relates to the government, is just take a look at some of the documents that are out there. It depends on which agency you're in. You might look for specific agency documents, but other times you can just look at, have them begin to see these, right? And so taking the time to study artificial intelligence and what's being said out there. And I just wanted to take a minute and show you some of these documents that are out there, because they really can help your staff and you. They can also help in sales, but here I'm talking mostly about helping you. So let me just go here. So I've got a bunch of PDFs open that I'm going to walk through for a few minutes and just be able to show you. This one, and I have tens and tens of these. I think I have about 50, 60 of these different artificial intelligence documents that I use, right, when I'm trying to understand AI across the entire federal government. Every agency is required to create a strategic plan around how they're going to use AI. And there's a lot of different ways they do it. If you don't know this, in the federal market, government agencies often have documents that are 3, 4 years old, and they're still the current authoritative document, right? Because they might write strategic plans every administration. So the election is about to happen in 2024. So you might see strategic plans that are written in 2025 under the new presidential administration. That's kind of a normal thing for agencies as they get new leadership. Other ones keep them up on a regular basis. This particular one's not a strategic plan. This is an action plan on how is the FDA going to use artificial intelligence in their medical devices, right? And so this is a really interesting one if you're in the healthcare space. I'm going to come down a little bit just so you can see some of the activity that they see, but and I won't go too far into it. But the idea, sorry about that. Let me get my little hand here. The idea here is in this document, FDA is sharing their thoughts around this, right? So they're looking for regulatory framework that guides those medical devices. They're hearing what people are saying. And this is the part I like. What we'll do, right? We're going to update the proposed document. And if I went through all these pages, I would see other things about what are we running into, right? These are, let's say, our challenges, and what are we going to do? This helps me begin to see, how is my agency, the agency I'm supporting, how are they thinking about AI? Let me take another one here. So this one, Department of Veterans Affairs, and this one's 19 pages laying out their strategy. And this is a pretty typical one that you'll see in here. And I'm just going to zoom widthwise. So as you come in, right, I can see what they're saying. And one of the things I love about these documents, and you want to help your staff understand, is when you read documents like this, and this is 19 pages, right? It's not a big lift. But when they read it, they begin to see how it aligns to other strategies. So the VA is a department, one of the largest departments, right? And it aligns to the National AI Strategic Goal. I didn't put that document open here. I did a similar one, but the idea is you can keep following that thread through. You can see what the priorities are. Here they're talking about using, and this is something we talk about all the time in sales, right? Is you want to figure out what's an agency's priority. So for For Department of Veterans Affairs, it's the veteran. So whatever you're thinking about, how's it going to help the veteran? If we were talking about the FBI, it would be the agent. Everything is about the agent. What is the agent doing as it relates to their job? So you're always going down to that lowest level user. And when I say lowest level, I mean the one who's closest to the physical work. And so here you can see they want to use AI to improve the outcomes and experience. They want to increase their capacity. Somewhere in here, sometimes they have like increasing the existing partnerships they have across the board. But the part I really want you to get your team paying attention to is things like KPIs and how are they going to measure their progress towards certain goals, right? As they move out there. Here it's saying adopt an AI maturity model tailored to the VA's mission. Well, what does that mean? What is that maturity model? How can your company learn from the VA's maturity model and move that forward? Same thing here. Here's Department of Justice. If you come through here, you begin to look at what they're doing here. Page 6, they're looking at their workforce, right? And so if I jump down there really quick, this is something very similar to your business. It's actually something personally I would just grab and go, how can I use this to create my own goal for my own team? I want to cultivate an informed AI workforce in my small business that's inclusive of the business mission and technical subject matter experts. So maybe I say inclusive of the back office, the sales, and the service delivery people, right? In order to bring our small business success. I'm looking at these guys' things they're writing, and I can learn about DOJ. And whatever DOJ says, pretty much every agency has an interest in the same thing. They just say it their own way. And it's the same thing with your business, right? You can look in here and begin to see what are some of the things they're talking about when it comes to workforce development and understanding how to leverage the strategy efforts to enable the workforce, how to grow, right? Here they're talking about rotational duties. That's something the government does, but it's the same kind of thing. How can you get your people to begin to have an increased AI awareness and literacy? That's what you're trying to do with your staff. And so when you have them reading documents like this, you see how they're able to see how their customer is talking about AI, and they can see how AI that they're working on is going to help them. So here's things like augment the enterprise data workforce portal to support AI workforce. How are you going to begin to turn your current workforce into an AI workforce, right? Or an AI-driven workforce? This is something that is really helpful and enables you to stand out differently to your existing customers as well as new customers. So here's another one. DHS is just dropping science and technology, artificial intelligence, strategic plan, same kind of thing. So when you go through here, you're able to see who some of the people are. You see they do it differently, right? Each one of them is putting in different goals. And as you start learning, as your team starts learning more of this, they really start getting an understanding, right? Here's definitions of AI ML. That's super helpful because you can see how are they defining AI ML to themselves. And ML is just machine learning. It's a little more advanced part of this. But having them read this, last couple of documents, here's HHS's. Here's HHS did another one. This is really important that the government is pushing. They really want ethical AI or trustworthy AI. The administration, the presidential administration, right, the executive office of the White House, they put out documentation or these huge documents on how to use AI wisely, smartly, fairly, ethically, right? They put that out and they're telling the agencies, you need to make sure you're doing that. And so here HHS has got a similar type document where they begin to talk about why is trustworthy AI important. These are some of the lessons I would be giving my staff if I was you, right? Beginning to ask and talk to them about, what are the AI lifecycle phases? Just even be able to understand it. You don't have to be a software developer, but to understand that AI in business is going to happen at the desktop level, which means every single employee level, that homegrown way of building solutions, right? And then it'll happen in out-of-the-box type solutions like ChatGPT, which I'll show you. It's got a lot of pre-built AI tools. And then it's going to happen at the super sophisticated level where people are building out full-fledged applications built on AI. But having your team read this is a different way to look at it. They're able to learn and they're able to communicate with their customer. All right, one last one I want to show you is just, and these are just a few, remember this, but here I can come down and start looking at the budget. This was 23, I can look at 24, but as I do, let me just pop down, you can see a lot of people are engaged. But getting into the table of contents, right? This is really important. And this is where you educate yourself as well on this activity. But I can come down and begin to see, or I can begin to see things like the budget chart, what's being spent on AI out there. And so if I just clicked here, so here for AI and R&D, right? If I just clicked on this, I can see AI is right here in the second column next to the fiscal year, and I can begin to see what's being spent. It begins with DARPA, and let me just change this. And I can start scrolling up, right? And I can look at different agencies and start seeing what are they spending out there? What's the spend like? What's the spend like in 2024? We're already starting to look at FY 2025. And so getting documents like this, you can see what the budget is. And let me come back here to page, I don't know, 5. I can't remember where I was at. Nope. Let me zoom out here really quick. So if you come in here, by the way, and you start looking, this is a fantastic document. It is a little bit of a lift, right? It's 100 pages. So you can talk to your staff about looking at this, or you could use a document like this where you can come in and begin to look at certain things and pull them out as ways to train your staff. All of this going through was just a way to tell you, how can you prepare your company for AI, fully embracing AI as your government contractor supporting federal agencies, your existing customers and new customers? Well, one of the ways is to study their strategic documents and to help your staff begin to embrace it and understand it. Don't give them a 100-page document, but maybe summarize 2 or 3 pages into an easy to read. In fact, you could pull out a page or 2 out of a document, give it to AI and say, hey, could you make this easy to read in a 3rd grade level, right? Then it's easy enough for me to read. Okay, so that was training your staff. And the idea is we want to make sure your staff's prepared. So let's talk about top ways to use AI in your business. I'm going to use real world examples here with ChatGPT. I don't like giving trainings or do sessions where I'm just conceptually talking about things. I like to go in and show you exactly how I do it, right? I'm not here to teach you how to use ChatGPT or other AI tools like this, but I am here to show you how you could use it. I can quickly show you, I'll watch my time, but I'm going to show you 5 different ways that you could use this in your business. And when I say in your business, I think like the back office. What are you doing day to day to kind of run your back office? It is not service delivery. It's not with your customers. I'll do that next. So let's go ahead in a minute and go into ChatGPT. But I want to start with one of the ways that you can use it in your business is just you have a lot of content out there. You do marketing, et cetera. And so you could use ChatGPT to help you write blogs. Articles are what they're called on LinkedIn if you put them out there, or white papers where we're handing it to the customer. One of the things to keep in mind about everything I'm going to show you is, to me, ChatGPT is not designed to be your final. It's designed to be your draft. And I got no problem with that, because I would give it to a junior employee or an intern or even a colleague and say, hey, could you write me a draft on something? And when they give it back, I'm not just going to take what they give me and put it out and publish it, right? I'm then going to edit it. I'm going to reorganize it to make it more of what I'm trying to communicate as the subject matter expert. So it's absolutely okay to get ChatGPT to write a lot, but then you massage it and turn it into your own, right? Don't just write and post it directly out there. So you can write blogs out there. When you're building PowerPoint decks, whether it's PowerPoint decks to talk to a customer, or here I put building slide decks for webinars like this one that I'm doing now. I built it myself, but I could easily have ChatGPT give me ideas, and I'm going to show you. Asking advice is my favorite thing to use AI for. I treat it like a colleague sitting right around here. It's my sounding board. Hey, what do you think of this? Should I wear this tie, or whatever it is? It might be a little bit more specific to my business. Number 4 is technical support. If I'm trying to figure out how to do something, I can ask it. My favorite thing to use AI for as it relates to technical support is Excel. I use Excel a lot to do data manipulation, but I don't know how to do formulas at all, right? I'm always forgetting. And I used to go into Google and I would type in, hey, how do I do this in Excel? And I'd have to spend all this time reading through blogs, trying to figure out where the answer is, and then going back and forth testing it. Now with AI, not only does it just give me the answer right away in seconds, but it literally will, I can tell it, I have this in this cell, this in that cell, and it will give me the solution based on my spreadsheet, not some random spreadsheet in a blog, right? So that's my favorite way. And then sales call planning. I'll show you that in a minute. But if I'm going into a meeting and I need help writing questions, what could I write? Okay, so let's switch over there really quick. And I'm just using ChatGPT. This is chat.openai.com. You can use anything. There's all these built-in tools. I don't really care at the moment. I like ChatGPT. Once I'm in there. So I'm just going to show you a bunch of different things you can do as fast as I can. The first thing I want to do, just going back to your staff training, I want to learn how to use you. I might put in here, how would you suggest I begin? I have no idea what it's going to say to me, but I like writing things like this to be able to see. Well, I wrote to it, I want to learn how to use you. How would you begin to use you? Okay, I can already see, whoa, right here. See how it says Python? I'm like, what are you talking about? So I just hit stop and I said, here, pretend I'm a junior, and I know nothing. I know nothing about IT, AI, etc. Speak at I'm going down here, 3rd grade level. Let's see if this gets me something. And give me my first 3 lessons, let's say. Oh, okay, perfect. Right now it's getting a little better. What is AI and ChatGPT? Okay, so it's going to roll through and it's going to tell some stuff. And then the next one is it's talking to ChatGPT. First, it's telling me, hey, learn what ChatGPT is. Second one, lesson 2, is about prompts. What I was just doing to ChatGPT was basically having a conversation with it. I was prompting. And then it's giving me something a little bit fancy. It's like, hey, you know what? We can do math and we can use magic tools, right? And so it's telling me examples of how I can use it, right? And I gotta watch my time on here. But that's an example of how I can use ChatGPT, and then how I can stop it and quickly correct it and say, whoa, could you talk to me in the normal level? So just think of ChatGPT as your friend John or Jane that you're talking to. Let me do another one here. And in this one, I'm going to sit there and say, I want to write me a blog about elevator maintenance. I'm typing slow apparently today. Write me a blog about elevator maintenance at a 3rd grade level. Use short sentences. Make it focus on cost savings. I have no idea what it's going to give me, right? So I'm giving it a prompt. If I was using this for my own personal business, I would be a much more specific, but I want to use this in a way that all of us might be able to understand. So here it's writing me a blog, right? The magic of saving money with elevator care. That's an interesting thing, right? Here it's talking about why elevators need a checkup, how taking care of elevators saves money. So it's giving me some things, right? Smaller sentences. It's talking about some of the whys, right? Capturing problems early, keep it running smoothly, making it last longer. Actually, I understand that. I don't know anything about elevators except for they go up and down, but I understand that, right? Here, even though you don't think you're a technician, here's how you can do it. Well, so now, okay, so if I wanted to go back, I could say the first set was good. This set you gave me was no good. I could say refine, like let's just say this here really quick. Refine to an audience of building owners, let's say. And the idea is now I want, see, there you go, a smart investment for building owners. And I could keep refining this, right? Maybe I want to write a blog that's targeting GSA, the General Services Administration, of the people who manage the bulk of the government's buildings that has the most elevators, right? I could write to them specifically and say, show me what's going on. So here's strategy, right? Prevent expensive repairs, extend the lifespan, improve efficiency. So these are all good stuff. Remember, I'm not going to cut and paste this, but as an elevator expert, I'm going to take this and go, oh, this looks good. I know what to write. Let me go massage it, right? Let me go to another one here and just stick with elevators for a second. Create me a slide deck outline around elevator cost savings for building owners. I should have said third grade level again. There's some prompts that I use personally that I just have that are like cut and paste. I always know I want to speak at a fifth grade level. So here, what it's doing, right, is it's giving me the slide deck outline. It's telling me have a title slide, make it say this kind of stuff. Here's an introduction slide. One of the things I noticed, let me just stop this really quick. Redo, but give me 5, let's just say 5 bullets for each slide. So if I'm doing that, what I'm trying to say is don't just give me 2, give me 5 if you can. So let's see if, what it does here. So the introduction, there's my 5 bullets that I'm going to talk about. Hey, today I'm going to talk about the importance of elevators, the impact of elevators, etc. I want you to understand the elevator cost. Slide 2, breakdown, average lifespan. So now you're seeing this thing is quickly creating me the slides. Let me do one last one here, and because I want to watch my time. But here is when you think about creating it for sales, right? I have a meeting with a small business professional at a federal agency. What questions can I ask? Let's just start there. Give me 10 bullets. I'm just saying, don't write a lot of text. Just give me 10 bullets initially. So one of my favorite things when I do it this way is I'm trying to prepare for my call, right? And whenever I go into meetings, I always have a call plan. It's funny, it's already kind of given me more than I want, but this is actually not bad, right? What specific programs does your agency offer to small businesses? That question's not a good question. I'll get rid of it. I do want to show you really quickly. Let's see what questions they got. Are there upcoming changes? So I like number 2, 3. Most common challenges small businesses face. So specific certifications. You can see some of these are good. Give me 5 around my expertise and how to explore getting introductions, right? So here, and I'm not being really helpful to ChatGPT, right? I could get much better with my questions, but here, like right, number 2, are there any upcoming projects where my expertise could be used? Okay, could you introduce me to department heads? And what I would tell ChatGPT is to start giving me, this seems a little too brutal. Can you make it softer in here? For example, if I say, I'm going to try that, right? Can you make question 3 softer? And it's always fun when you do these kind of things live within somewhere. You wonder what it's going to be like. But here, so I said, can you make introductions? Instead, it says, who within your agency might find value with my expertise? How would you suggest I reach out to them? So now, instead of asking for the introduction, I'm asking for how would you recommend I go about being prepared to get ready and get introduced, right? And so that kind of stuff is really helpful. Okay, I want to just spend a few more minutes as we're getting close to the end here about talking about the top ways to use AI on your business, right? And so when I say use AI on your business, I really mean how can you go make more money using AI? This is a really important one for me to teach small business government contractors is you should use AI as an upsell to your existing clients. The idea is it doesn't matter what your business is. You don't have to be an IT company or professional services or an AI company to sell AI. You could be construction and you have project management, or you could be even parts in the manufacturing, et cetera. You can be in any business. AI is going to come into every business. And what I'm suggesting is it's your responsibility to figure out how can you use AI as an upsell. So quick example, like that blog I just wrote is, and I think I'll use it in the next slide anyways, but you can talk to your customers about how AI can be used to help you maintain the costs and the maintenance around elevators, which will help us extend the life of an elevator, meaning you don't need to buy new ones for a year or 2 longer. That's a big deal to the government. If they can do cost savings, efficiency is good, but cost savings is always great. But this idea, you want to think about how you can do that. I'll give you some ideas on the next slide. The next thing is you want to make sure, right? I talked about training your staff. Initially, I was saying train your staff so they can use AI in their day-to-day job. Here, what I mean is turn everybody who's inside the wire or being billable, working directly with the customer, turn those billable people into salespeople by teaching them to understand the difference between implied needs and explicit needs. To hear one of my favorite things that I talk about is, and I don't know if I said this here, but the idea is you want to listen for the customer complaining, and not in a bad way, but I hate this task. I have to do this every day, or I have to do this every week. Anytime somebody says something about that, AI can help out. AI, by the way, if you don't know this, is basically just process improvement, process automation. It's just a different version. But the problem is people still, agencies, your customers still do work that is very manual. It's either manual, so it's taking hours, and you can speed it up by using AI, or they hate it, right? Maybe it takes less time, but they just hate it. I don't like that type of work. I wish I was working on something more impactful to my agency, right? And so you want to teach your team to listen for those ideas, because those can become explicit needs you and AI can solve. So that's business development, listening for those ideas. And the second thing is start talking with your customers constantly, every single meeting, figuring out how on a weekly basis your team can be talking about AI, maybe dropping a story. This goes back to, if you train your staff to use it themselves, it makes it easier for them to start talking. Oh, hey, boss, I know you're doing a PowerPoint deck. I was just doing that with AI, that type of thing. Talking about what's coming down the pike. And you don't have to have all of your employees be this expert on AI. You can share little tips about what's new with AI, and not the most cutting edge stuff, but the stuff that might be most impactful to your federal customers. So here's a couple of ideas for you on how you can use AI in your business. I use elevators, right? So you can optimize the infrastructure maintenance, project management. This is certainly a great way to not only you can record a meeting. Like, let's say I took this whole training I just did. I could get the transcript out of it and then turn it into minutes. For example, in a meeting, I like to say, let's clarify our action items, and then I say them. Well, AI can just take the transcript, not only spit out the minutes, but it could take the action items and throw it into my task list without too much extra work, right? But it can also follow up on action items. Hey, I had these action items. Which ones do I need to follow up on? I already talked about what takes time, and what they hate to do is business process automation that AI can help with, but also in healthcare, right? Diagnostic tools. I worked with a customer in the VA where AI is analyzing the images that are coming back from X-ray machines or machines that X-ray the eyes, whatever that's called, right? And able to diagnose it and provide the provider, some early pointers saying, hey, you should look at this, this, and this, because those are flags. That type of stuff. Those are ideas you can use as you're thinking about AI within your federal government customers. All right, so here's what I want you to remember as you think about AI, and you think about how can AI be helping your small business and helping government contractors in the federal space. The first thing is to remember that AI is here to stay. It is like the computer. It is like email. It is like the internet. Each stage of the way, people are like, no one's going to want to put a computer on their desk. No one's going to just send messages on a computer, right? No one's going to get on that internet. It's just a fad. It was ugly. Everything begins and then it becomes normal. AI is here to stay. And the faster you help your company embrace that, the more chance you'll stay ahead of your competitors. One of the ways you fully embrace it is make sure you're teaching your staff. So that's the second thing I want you to pay attention to. Teach your entire staff to embrace artificial intelligence and then help them learn. Help your customers. Number 3, help your customers integrate AI into everything they do. Don't try to swing for the fences and have these big AI solutions or ideas. Think of the day-to-day activity your team is doing in support of that customer and how you might be able to help that customer integrate AI. They want to integrate AI, and so it's up to you to help them do that. Hey, I appreciated you joining me in this training session on artificial intelligence as it relates to small businesses in the government contracting space. Don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn in particular. On LinkedIn, you can connect with me on my LinkedIn profile. You can connect with me on my newsletter. And I do daily trainings on federal sales, how to do federal sales. Love to have you in there because there's on average 200, 300, 400 people coming in on a daily basis live. We would love to have you in there. All of us are in there reminding ourselves, and this is what I want you to remember. We're reminding ourselves that government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. Go make AI happen.